Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. In today's video, I'm going to be summoning for Hope, since I think that's something we could all use a little more of right about now. I'm going to talk about the Springtime Spree and the Paragons of Piety summon showcases, and also briefly touch on the new mana spiral since both Hawk and Linyu have a raid up on Springtime Spree. I don't have a lot of resources to summon today, but I figured this is kind of a crazy situation. A lot is happening in the real world. Not much is happening in the world of Dragalia, at least right now. And I want to give it a shot, try get Hope, maintain my 4-star collection, and just take this as an opportunity to get to converse with y'all about what's been going on, how you're holding up, and just touch base since it had been a while since I put out a video. So first of all, I want to say I hope everyone is well or as well as they can be. I hope that you're doing your part following your local, state, federal guidelines. If you're located here in the US, I hope that you're well, your loved ones are well. And if you're abroad in Europe or elsewhere, I also similarly hope that everything's going as best as can be for you. So obviously we find ourselves in a very different situation than the last time I recorded just a couple weeks ago. I uploaded a video about summoning for Mitsuba more as a joke. I wasn't actually upset. I just did that because I thought it was kind of comedic, and I thought it's kind of funny how we can convince ourselves to keep summoning at times in Dragalia. Kind of different situation right now where there's so much uncertainty about the future that it's hard to justify, or harder to justify, throwing down some dollars on DL. So here I'm only going to use free resources. Tobias seems like a cool character. I was really interested in him because of his buff time co-ability that's unique to him. And from what I've seen in videos folks have uploaded, he also kind of has infinite iframes on his second skill, which is pretty cool. Very strong buff bot for the wind element, but I'm not really crazy about Tobias. I don't feel that I need him for anything. I'm not super attracted to him as a character or anything. I know that he was in Gala Ellie's story, but I don't really have a lot of interest in Tobias. So if I manage to pick him up, that's great. But if not, I'm not really too upset about that. And the other unit that's on focus here, well, at 4-star, the unit that I'm going for is Hope. But the other thing that's on focus is Ariel, a 5-star wind dragon. She does seem pretty interesting, but I don't have a lot of sunstones to just throw around. So it's not really a big priority for me whether or not I get her. I will say I don't have that many resources since I summoned so much for Mitsuba, so if I do get a 5-star before I get Hope, I will probably stop summoning at that point. But just spending some time here so you can kind of read through Tobias's skill, because it took me a long time to parse initially, but when you see it in action with the videos players have uploaded, basically you can just toggle between states. And when you have it activated, Tobias will kind of air slash at a distance, but not be able to move. So it is quite a powerful effect. Not a lot of damage that comes off of it, but just the ability to have iframes. It means that Tobias can even be a baiter at range or at melee for things like High Mercury's Trial. So pretty cool character. I would say that with Hawk's upgrades and Linyu's upgrades, Tobias can fit in nicely with some newer comps that are being run in High Mercury, and he can kind of replace Noelle if that's what you want to do. Not necessarily that bad to run alongside Noelle or Dragalia Zanefried, more so because of the buff time co-ability, and if you have a strong enough DPS to kind of carry the bulk of those buffs, then Tobias can be a pretty solid choice. So I mentioned Hawk and Linyu. Obviously, people are really excited about Hawk, some in a positive way, some in a negative way. I found Hawk to be pretty fun to play, and he kind of opens up a lot of the Master Trials in ways that they were not broken open before. Specifically, Master High Mercury's Trial, he enables a comp where you can run multiple Hawk to increase the consistency with which you stun the opening blast. That's pretty nice, even though his percent chance of stunning the enemy didn't go up. At least if you use multiple Hawk, and since Hawk now has good personal DPS, you're not really at a disadvantage for running multiple Hawk and increasing your chance of successfully stunning the opening blast. He's not necessarily a character who stacks in terms of power by a lot just by running in multiples in the same way Gala does, but it's more so that you run a bunch of them together so that you ensure you always stun. And he does dish out a lot of damage if the enemy's both poisoned and stunned, as High Mercury will be for the start of that match. Lin Yu has been a little bit less popular, but I do think she's quite good. Her challenge is she takes longer to ramp up because you have to use her Kung Fu Mastery and slowly build up a combo over time. And even though she gains some combo time in her third ability, she can't necessarily easily maintain combo. She technically can, but during the title calls that Master High Mercury does, it's not that easy to maintain. You can use her Cyclone Force Strikes to kind of maintain it, but you have to be very conscientious about your positioning, otherwise you'll eat a title call. So Lin Yu, I think, is the sleeper character here. I do think she has a lot of potential. She has a lot of power as a helper because she can inflict sleep with 150% base chance on her first skill. That's another way people are using to cheese and solo these master high dragon trials now with off-element, on-element teams. Ariel as a dragon, to talk a little bit more about her, I do see the potential that she could become a best-in-slot dragon for a lot of characters. Any characters who are relying on Freya for skill haste should at least consider Ariel, but Freya brings a lot of utility thanks to her regen and energize mechanic. Often it's the only source of large healing in team comps that are using Freya. That said, Ariel being able to stun, I think this does put her solidly above Zephyr for a lot of cases. From what I can tell, it looks like her dragon form is a little bit better than Zephyr too, so even though her strength is 10% lower on the aura than Zephyr, I do think that she has a lot of appeal, and that's a large amount of skill haste, which stacks with anything you have on Prince, stacks with any abilities on the character, so you can get some characters up to like 70% plus skill haste when we're talking co-abilities and passives on the character and Worm Print. So pretty crazy. I haven't seen too many characters just be completely busted because of Ariel though, so I'm a little cautious of going too hard on this, and I don't have the Sunstones anyway, so if I get one, great, but if not, it's all good. And then finally, Hope is the character who I'm going to be going for. Templar Hope, I'm really glad that Hope got an alt. It was kind of a surprise. One of the things that's a bit of a bummer is they used to really tell us and be very proactive and very good about telling us who was on the banner prior to the banner releasing. This time around, we didn't find out about Hope until the banners had already rolled over, so it's becoming harder to suss out what the new 4 stars are, and I feel like that's kind of part of the broader strategy of these shorter trailers, the part 2 showcases, that type of thing, so that it's less easy to consistently pick up these 4 stars and make summoning decisions around which banner you should try pull on. So I was kind of surprised to see a new 4 star on this, and the fact that it's Templar Hope. But if you have 3-star Hope and have read his story, one of his dreams is around being a knight, so it is pretty cool. At the same time, he's a very defensive character, and I do think they did an excellent job reflecting that in his kit. So he's kind of like Ryozan, or how Patkia used to be, or sort of like Pipple in that his first skill is a team-wide defense buff. Second skill deals damage. He has the Dragon Haste co-ability typical of swords, and kind of a weird ability combination with Freeze Res and Bog Res, both at 100%, and finally healing double buff for the team as his final ability. Of course, this means you can do silly things like run an entire team of Templar Hopes. Maybe if they get the Mana Spiral and have strength buffs, it'll actually be a good team. Right now, it's kind of just the cheese comp where you can totally heal everyone on the team, but the DPS is not that great, so I don't know that it's really worth doing anything with. It's just kind of a cute and fun thing to do, and a good representation of Hope's character, I feel. So I'm pretty happy with this alt. I don't really need it, but I would rather try pick up this 4-star now while it's on a raid up than to try pick it up in the future randomly on a gala or on another showcase, since it probably won't get a raid up for a long time is what I'm thinking. So if we can get through this and still have some More Might left for the half anniversary, not to mention any freebies that we're going to get from the half anniversary, then I'll feel pretty good about our summoning situation. I've already collected a lot of tickets from the raid, and I have this tenfold as well, so hopefully we don't have to actually dip into our More Might. If we get to that point, things have kind of gone awry, but I'm going to start with singles, and then we'll do tenfolds. The other character who got a Mana Spiral was Su Feng, and you do get him for free playing the event. I have to say, though, this event was kind of a bore to me. I do like the story, but I didn't really experience it again. I just skipped through it because, honestly, I've played it twice at this point. So I am a little disappointed that they keep rerunning this. There's only like 2 events that favor wind characters in the game, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Basically just the Luis facility event, I think that's called Winds of Hope, and this event. So we could really use some more originality in that front, but nonetheless, I'm glad that people have access to this welfare character, and although his Mana Spiral isn't as crazy as Hawk or Lin Yu, it's still quite solid. The thing I think all 3 of these characters suffer from that you have to recognize, and Lin Yu suffers from this the least, is that they are somewhat affliction dependent. So keep that in mind. You know, as powerful as they may seem, as much as they open up cheese strategies, they are somewhat limited in their use case, and it's quite possible that whatever Agito boss comes out will be designed around that. Remember what happened with Shadow, where we got all these Mana Spirals, and it turned out the one crucial mechanic was Dispel, and we didn't get the spirals for Dispel or Shadow characters with it until basically the day before Kai Yan's trial came out. So do be mindful of that. Like, I think with Mana Spirals, we have seen at this point the Champion's Testaments, those gold pieces of paper that are so valuable in the world of DL. They don't come easily, and I don't think that they're going to become easier to get. I think it's one of the few bottlenecks that we still really have that forces you to make decisions around which characters to invest in if you've been playing for a long time. So frankly, I think it's kind of a necessity. And the other thing you have to remember with these Mana Spirals is there's a lot of seesawing that happens in Dragalia. And I think that's kind of the nature of gacha in general, is like the latest character is always going to be the most hype or the most powerful. That's how they get you to summon. Same with these spirals. You know, these are characters who were not in the spotlight for so long. They needed a boost to come into the spotlight. But you have to imagine when the characters who don't have a spiral now, like Victor, for example, maybe even you could say this about Tobias or Eleonora, but frankly, I don't think a spiral will save her. But some of these older characters, when they get a spiral, they could very easily creep the characters that we're seeing now. So just keep in mind there's a pendulum to this, and you don't have to rush out and spend all your Champion's Testaments on a character just because they're the latest hotness. Personally, I did just that for Hawk, but it was in part because I had already built a Max Unbound 5-star High Dragon Trial Tier 2 Wind Bow that I was using for my Eleanor. Anyway, I already had Hawk at 50 nodes, so for me it was a lot easier of a decision. But so far, I think we've got our pity rate up twice, and we haven't got any 5 stars or any hopes. Hopefully, okay, we get a 5-star here so we can end our summoning. I really hope we get hope as well. But I think with the small amount of resources we have, we can't continue to summon if we don't get hope. There's a sword, though. And 2 5-stars. One of them is a blade. That wand is not going to be anything new, but I think there was another sword at the end, so pretty good chance of us getting hope right now. And that would be a good way to cap off the summoning today. Okay, first one's Carl, so that's not what we were going for. Student Maribel, so that is a dupe, but that blade could be Tobias, which would be pretty insane. Alright, it's Victor. I mentioned him earlier, and here he is. He shows up. Well, we have one last chance. I believe if that last drop was a sword. Hey, okay. We got our objective, and we broke our pity rate with some lovely Eldwater. Well, this summoning session turned out about as well as it could. I will see how much I'm able to accumulate in Wormite by the half anniversary, and hopefully it's a good amount. You only need 60 summons to guarantee yourself a 5-star on Gala showcases because the rates are higher, so hopefully we can get up to that point so we can do some genuine Gala summoning. Otherwise though, everyone, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. Once again, I just want to reiterate, I hope that you're doing well. Take care of yourself as best you can. Make sure to keep in mind any guidelines, try to adhere to them. That is going to do it for me today though. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope that any summoning you've been doing has gone well. Otherwise though, take care and I'll see you next time.